All right, so today we're going to cover triangle congruence SSS and SAS. All right, so what we're doing is we're looking at the theorems that prove if two triangles are actually congruent with each other. Do y'all remember we talked about a while back that when polygons are congruent, they have three things that are in common. What are those three things? Three things make a polygon congruent with each other. Okay, all their angles are congruent. The same number of sides, or basically like they're the same shape, right? And yeah, all their corresponding sides are congruent. Okay, so they're same shape, angles are the same, sides are the same length. Okay, so that's when two polygons are congruent. Today we're going to look at two theorems. It's the SAS and the SSS theorem that prove that two triangles are actually congruent with each other. Okay. Now, SAS stands for side, angle, side. Okay. SSS stands for side, side, side. Or super smart student, whatever works for you. All right, and what that means is the side angle side. It means that I have a congruent side right next to a congruent angle, right next to another congruent side. So that's side S, A, S, right next to each other. And if both triangles have that SAS, then those two triangles are congruent with each other. Whereas SSS, or side, 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 this is probably the easiest one out of all five of them. I mean, I know we're just covering two today, but out of all five, to me, these are the easiest. If all three sides are congruent with each other, then you know that they're congruent triangles. Okay? All right, so let's solve these two. So they ask me, are they congruent? And if they are, why? Remember, we're just looking at SSS and SAS today. So the first thing you always want to do is you want to label your triangles. So anywhere that there's a congruent side, put an S. Anywhere there's a congruent angle, put an A. So here I have an S. I have an S here, S, and an S. Okay. Those tick marks showed me that those sides were congruent, right? Now, this one is actually congruent as well. And it's because it's a shared side. Make sure you write this down. It's a shared side. Shared sides are congruent with each other. Okay? So remember, I mean, that makes sense, right? If they butt up to each other and they share the same sides, obviously it's going to be the same. One way you could think about it in real life is that Miss Redmond's class is right next to mine and we share that wall right there. If I measure that wall on this side or go in her class and measure it, it should be the same. Theoretically, obviously, if they built it. Right? But you know, being a shared wall, it should measure the same on each side. Okay? So same here. If I look at it from this triangle or from this triangle, that shared side is the same. Okay? Then once we have it all labeled, we need to see which ones or like what letters we have. So on that left triangle, I have three S's. So I have S, S, and S. And then on the right triangle, we have an S, S, and S. Are those the same? Like, do they both have the same letter order? Yes. Okay. Is that SSS one of our special, our theorems? Yes. So this one it's congruent. Yes. And the reason is SSS, or triple S. Okay. So your reason will just be whatever theorem it is that proves it. Questions on that one? All right, next. Let's label all the sides and angles again. So I have a side, congruent side, S, S. Did I miss any?
Yeah.
Sides, which ones?
The shared side.
The shared side needs an S and an S, right? So class, is this one congruent? Are they congruent with one another? Yes, why? What theorem tells me they're congruent? They're SSS, right? So this one, the bottom one had SS and S, the top one had SS and S. I'll go a little quicker on this one. So I'll have a side, and a side, because those all have tick marks. Same thing here. Side, side, and side. Congruent, Brady?
Yes.
Yes, why?
Because SSS.
SSS. All right, next one. I have an S and an S, an S and an S. Now, do y'all see any angles or sides that I missed that are congruent? What I missed? The vertical angles, very good. Remember, guys, vertical angles, make sure you take note of this. Vertical angles are congruent as well. So they don't have the little curves to show they're congruent, but we know automatically if they're vertical, the rule is that they're congruent with each other. So we'll put an A there because that's a congruent angle. All right, now this part is a part that you really need to pay attention to because this is where a lot of people can get confused at. Okay? Because when you're looking at this triangle here on the left, let's look at the left one first. We have to figure out what order those letters are going in. Because I don't know if they do SAS or if they do SSA or what, like if you just glance at it. But one thing you have to keep into consideration is how many things they skip over. So what does that mean? So let's start with this S here. If I want to start with this S, and I go counterclockwise, and I'm trying to get to this other S, right? If I go there, notice each triangle has an angle, a side, an angle, side, right? So to go from this congruent side, I'm going to jump over this angle, then I'm going to jump over this side, then I'm going to jump over this other angle to get to this congruent side. How many things did I skip over to get to this congruent side? 3. An angle, a side, and an angle to get to this other side, right? Okay, so you just follow it order. There's an angle here, a side, an angle, and a side. Or if you laid it out in words, this is how I have it written. All triangles are side, angle, side, angle, side, angle, right? That's the order they go in when you follow them around. Okay? I am only allowed to jump over one thing. Okay? How many am I allowed to jump over? 1. How many did this jump over? 3. So can I go that direction? No. Okay? So I can't go from this S around to that S. That jumps over too many things. So let's try it the other way. I start with this S. Can I go to this A here? Does it skip over anything? No. Okay. So it didn't skip anything, so we're good. We can go the S to that A. Then from this A to this S, did we skip anything? No. So that works for me, right? So the order of this is going to be S, A, S. Okay. Now I'm just going to start with this A on this other one. If I go from this A and go clockwise, from A to S, is that legal? Can I do that? Yes. Now to go from this S to this S, is that legal? No. How many things did I skip over? 3. An angle, a side, and an angle to get to that one. Okay, so let's try starting with this S and go counter. S to A to S. Does that work? Yes. SAS. Now I have to ask myself, are these congruent? Do they fit one of those two that we're looking at today? Theorems. Yes. Yes. And what is it? SAS. SAS. Let's work this. I have an S an A, and an S. So what order are those letters there? SAS, right? Then this one I have an S, and an A. What order are those letters? SSA. Okay? Because notice I can't go from this S. If I want a SAS, I would go here to this A. How many things do I skip over to go from this S to this A? Two, an angle and a side to get there. Can we go that direction? No, so it's SSA. Or, get ready, ASS. It's not good, right? It's a bad word. Geometry has no bad words in it, okay? So if you get a bad word, it's done. No, it's not congruent, okay? Geometry is pure. It does not spell bad words in it, okay? ASS, nope. We don't want that. So these are obviously not congruent. So we're just going to say no. So when we look at this one now, notice it says, state what additional information is required in order to know that the triangles are congruent. Okay? So because it says state what additional information is required, it means something is missing. Okay. All right, something is missing. And we've got to figure out what's missing. So when we look at this first one, notice it tells me SAS. Okay? So it's telling me what theorem it's supposed to be. But we got to figure out what's missing to make that true. So I'm going to label it just like normal. I have a side and an angle, a side and an angle. Okay? So they're only going to have two things on each one because you're missing the third one. And that's what we have to figure out what's missing. So to make this SAS, am I missing an angle or a side? Side. Each one is missing an S. All right, so I'm gonna try a side and put an S there. So if I put an S down here, does that make it side angle side? No, it actually spells a bad word, right? So if it doesn't work, just cross it out. That way you know you tried it, but it doesn't work. So let's try this other one. Put an S there. Does that make side angle side? Yeah. So circle that one. That's our correct one. Now what I need to do once I figure out what, like if I'm missing a side, I figure out which side's missing, I'm just going to name that side. Remember when you name a side, it's just the two letters on the end, okay? So this one's going to be what? GH, and it's a segment, so we'll put a segment symbol. Okay.
Put on the side the side that's missing.
Yeah. So if you want to take note, put this is missing. You don't have to write like this on each missing stuff on each on your homework, but you can put it for now for this. Okay. So I'm going to put line segment GH, and then I'm going to put it's congruent. Now we need to figure out on the other one. What's the missing side there? So I'm going to try this top one. Does that make it side angle side on the top one? I mean, when I put it there? Yes. And Angel, what's the name of that side there on top that we found? WV. Good. So that's my answer. Segment GH is congruent to segment WV. Okay? You just find what's the one missing thing on each and set them congruent to each other. Questions on that one? All right, let's go to the next one. Once again, we're just going to label it. We have a side, a side, a side, and a side. Roman, what's missing on each of these to make it, they want it to be side angle side. What's missing on each one? An A, right? Okay. All right, so I'm going to put an A right there on that top one. Paula, if I put an A there, does that make it side angle side? No, that doesn't work. That actually does ASS again. So we'll cross it out. So let's try here. Mandy, if I put my angle here, does it make it side angle side? Yes. Okay. And Luis, so we're going to circle it. What is the name of that angle there? Angle what? V. Right. So we found that one. Mateo, on the other one, what's the name of the angle that's missing to make it side angle side? Angle I. So I put the A there. That makes it side angle side. And that's, to name it, it's just angle I. Very good. All right, so let's label this. I have a side and a side. Chris, am I missing anything that's congruent already there that I forgot to label? Yeah, so we should have a there because those are what kind of angles, class? Vertical angles, okay? So those aren't missing. Those are automatically, we know, since they're vertical, they are congruent. Now when I look at each one, Lucas, what am I missing to make that SAS on each triangle? On the one on the left, like this one on the left here. Like each triangle, what's missing to make it SAS? We're missing an S, right? So let's, who have I not called on? Jules, this top triangle here. What's the missing side? Tell me the name of the missing side that'll make it SAS. When on a side, you got to have two letters. Let's try it. So if I do BD and put a side there, does that make it side angle side? No. So we'll cross it out. So which one's it going to be? So BI is it. So it's BI. Right. Noah, what's the other one? Like on the bottom there, what's the name of the missing side? So if I do HJ, that'll be down here. Does that make it side angle side?
IJ.
There you go. IJ. Okay. So like I said, if you try one, make sure you cross it out if it's not right, so that you know it doesn't work. All right, last one. We need it to be SSS.
Wait, does it matter if it is IJ or JI?
No, you can flip them around. Yeah, when you name a segment, it doesn't matter what order they're in. So class, am I missing any? Did I mislabel or forget to label something here? What did I forget to label? The inside, the shared side, right? That's an S and S. So what am I missing on each one to make it SSS? In S, okay? So yeah, ZY is the only thing, it's the last one here. So ZY is congruent to. And what's the other one, class? XG, that one there. And that's it.